Hi, Thomas. How are you going? Good to see you after a long time.
Yeah, hi Dharam. Thanks for restarting this series. It's pretty amazing. I think we have a lot of to talk about, which happened in this year, and uh, try to offer some help to people who are listening to us.
Yeah. And we are nearly end of 2020. So the whole year was little disturbing in one way or other, maybe physically, mentally, spiritually. People lost jobs. Many other things happened with this COVID.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
exactly. And the important thing is, and we have been talking about this, while we have to deal with the situation we are in, but staying positive in that situation will make the difference.
Yeah,
Yes, there can be momentarily you feel negative, why this happened to me, why is me only, but if you stay positive, you can come out of this situation, and you know what, you will be back on your feet, and you will be running, and you will be doing better
right.
things in your life.
I think this kind of disruption we have seen this year with the COVID thing. Um, is something that has been experienced before. There are a lot of pandemics, but also wars and everything, always in human timelines. And people
Yeah,
adapted to it. Okay, not everybody survived it. And there were certainly some things that were just destroyed and things changed. But I think it's what we have right now. It's a similar thing, and for sure, um, what you said is very important. Everybody himself can prepare himself to be prepared for that and to be able to respond to these changes. And actually, to be prepared for it, I think the word of resilience comes in mind to me. How am I more able to get up if I'm put down, on the street? How am I able to really respond if I'm hit, that I'm getting up again and smile again? So this is something, um, depending on your attitudes, but also on your way of handling things, and
yeah,
most importantly, on your way to perceive things. It's all in our heads, our perception. If we see a danger, and if we fear something, if we are afraid, if we are emotional, but emotions rather not help in these situations. So it's very important to become resilient in the means of being able to respond in a conscious way and in a prepared way.
yeah. Okay, so Thomas, I do have a question. I think we should have a good discussion on that, so that they will benefit from your experience, my experience, and building some strategies around, and stay positive and do something better when we are going through this disruptive time. So the question is not specific to the current COVID situation, but it's applicable to any time, especially the modern time we are in. So the age of career disruption, you know, careers are getting impacted, because not because of COVID, but all change in technology as well. So, what are the strategies we can adopt? What job opportunities how we can find a job, and the certification can help.
Yeah.
As part of your strategy, you might go for certain other certifications or maybe some degrees or whatever. So, what do you think about it? How do you know what is the disruption? Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, absolutely. As I said, this COVID was a big disruption, but we had other disruptions before. And this discussion about how will project management careers look like in the future, was there before we had COVID. And things change. We have a shift towards a gig economy, so people are just jumping from one job to the other. We have this Uber thing, and others, how people work. And so people were concerned. What should I learn? How should I prepare myself in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills to go there? But let me explain, on my own career journey. How I experienced this, even starting in '83 when I joined IBM. And so my first job at IBM, and I was hired at IBM as a software developer, and I was put on a project and had a sub team dealing with taxes for employees. So I never had a chance to look into taxes before. It was really a new thing for me, but I knew the programming language quite well, and actually. This was my first job. I was good at it, and I liked it. I got some awards afterwards. After 2 years, because that job was in a location a little bit far from my home, so I decided to relocate to look for another job within IBM, and I found another job, and this was a totally different job. It was about systems engineering. So I built data centers. I consulted with clients to make sure that they understand the IBM products, hardware mainly at this time. And I did that job with a training and a mentor and everything. And I had my own client base where when they came up and said, okay, our computers are working, IBM, please help. So I was on my way out, so a little bit like that. This was a totally different skill set. And at one point of time in this job as a system engineer, I was asked to manage a data center move. So from one kind of hardware to another kind of hardware, but not only hardware, it's also systems programming. It's also application things, and people had to be trained. So actually, this was a program. I didn't know that at this time, and it was a fixed price program. So the IBM and this client negotiated a fixed price for it at a fixed period, and I was put in place to do that. Actually, after that project, which I concluded successfully, and I was lauded by the CEO of that organization, our customer, I thought by myself, okay, I was a software engineer, I was a systems engineer, and it's all technology is changing so quickly. I like this job as a project manager maybe better because what is not changing so quickly is how to deal with people, how to influence people, be it the client, your team, subcontractors, whatever. And so I decided in 1988 to move away from system engineering and to forget about software development and to become a project manager without knowing really what it is, And at this time, not many certifications. I'm not sure if PMP was around already in '88.
No, it started in 95, 96.
Yeah, maybe. So I went into some IBM classes about project management. Luckily, they had something, and then eventually I ran into PMI, and I became a member of the PMI Frankfurt chapter, and then I saw there's something like PMP, and I prepared for it, and in '98 I achieved my PMP. I sat at the exam, and tell you what, not many people know it. It was a paper pencil exam. You had sheets of questions, and it had 400 questions to answer in 8 hours.
8 hours, yeah.
And after that, I needed a beer. Really exhausted about it, but I made it. I was not so confident going out of the exam, but I made it, and I'm a PMP since 98. And guess what? My reputation in IBM, although IBM hadn't adopted PMP at that time fully, my reputation, I think I was the first IBMer in Germany who became a PMP. But my reputation went up, because people understood, okay, there's somebody who has a certification and a PMI, we are going to that, and not everybody is there, and he did it even without IBM supporting it. I paid for my own, and IBM didn't have any prep classes as they have now, So this is my first value of a certification I got, it's more my self-confidence. I suddenly understood I know what I'm doing. I know what I've missed so far, and I tried out the other stuff. So, but even, from '88 when I became a project manager and tried to do that, actually every project was different for a different industry. So I consider all of my projects, my second project was about 1.5 years. And then I had a project for 3 years, and then I had a project for 5 years, building a PMO, actually, a PMO with eight staff for a 600 people IT organization. And we implemented stuff like the project reporting, a dashboard, earned value management. So trained all these people, the typical things a PMO is doing. I did that from 95 to the year 2000. Then I got my first program, actually, which wasn't called a program because I was in charge of all projects for a investment bank. Now, again, what qualified me for that was only my people, my people handling. I didn't have any clue about investment banking, and I didn't have any clue about the technology behind what they were doing. In programming these risk management systems in investment banking. But I had some project teams, some knowledgeable people, some architects, and I managed that team. And the main task was to install trust in the client in that. So, and I could go on until to the end of that. But what I wanted to say is, first, even if you have the luck to work in organizations like IBM, something bigger, you can have different jobs in a sequence that build upon each other. And the best to build upon each other is really to go into project management, because that's always needed, and it's mainly dealing with people. And even when disruption hit in 2001, I know the stock market crash 2001. It didn't affect me in my job, because I was still selling to the client new projects and changes and everything. So yeah, that's somehow how my career went, and I'm happy for that. And even I had, I think, two opportunities in these 31 years of IBM career where the people threatened to fire me because of something, and I survived it. So you will have stress through the time, and you might have get shifted to another organization or whatever. People don't like you, but the main thing is to take your fate into your own hands, to become initiative, to trust in yourself, and to build your trust in yourself, your confidence. And that's what I call also being resilient against all the things. Don't trust your life and your career to others. You are your own boss.
Exactly. So it's a very good way of presenting, and especially talking about your life, what happened. So, but seems like most of the time you were kind of either thrown into or you're lucky, but you did change and you learned a lot. But the current scenario, yes, you are a project manager. How do we know that something is coming, and are we ready for that? Okay, be ready for that. That's very, 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 very important. So one is, I can talk about my story. How sometimes I've tried, sometimes lucky, or sometimes I was pushed into things happen. But knowing that the new technology is coming, knowing that we are in COVID, the situation is different. What else we can do to stay relevant and not only survive this tough time, but maybe you find prosperity, or maybe you gain out of that. So yeah. So before we start talking, we had a small discussion about how COVID is not a disrupt, not a problem. Yes, it's a problem, but but how being while staying positive, you are in your own way, and I in my own way, were able to stay relevant, or rather we have a gain lot, may not be monetary point of view, but from other point of view. As you mentioned, that you were able to do more webinars, without traveling anywhere, and you were able to contribute more people, and by sharing your knowledge, which you're doing with me as well. And same thing, in March, I was able to reconfigure my program. I know that I cannot travel to Germany, Italy, Greece, so many countries I plan to go, but what I can do still while going through this. So yes, so that's a different story. But the important for the people at the moment is, what can we learn? What can we unlearn? And what can we relearn? And seeing some signals, if you can get some signal, by watching, reading, listening to other people, what new technologies are coming up, those things can give you some idea. You know what, some jobs which we are doing, a lot of people get employed into, are not going to be available in future, and it's a fact. And many jobs are being replaced by due to automation and artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these things, big names, some acronyms are coming. And while jobs are going from one side, what jobs are created, more jobs are created in other side as well.
Sure.
It is about, yes, I will not do my clerk job, but can I learn something which help me to manage this automation system? Can I be part of it? And that required a little thinking outside the box. Yes, you think I'm always did my clerky job. How can I learn something new technology? And it's not easy. You need to unlearn. First you say, okay, yes, I was a clerk. I have these skills, but not anymore. I have to think about what is coming up. What should I do to stay relevant in the new future?
Yeah. You raise a bunch of very good questions, and I think concerns many people might have in these times when they are confronted with disruption in their well anticipated career. So and the topic about unlearning is also true. When in '88 I switched from systems engineer to a project manager, I immediately unlearned. So I had the picture in mind, I had the IBM tie and I cut it off, the systems engineering tie, and forget it. Now the future is coming. I have to have a focus on the future. So the first thing is, you asked for strategies, how to deal with that situation, and I think I could maybe offer 3 strategies. One of them is become more resilient, and this is a big buzzword maybe, but in a moment I will talk a little bit what does it mean, to become resilient. How can you really practically go into that? The second strategy is develop attitudes, not skills. Skills go away, as you say, and as we know, as we understand, but attitudes stay. Build your habits. Your habits are more important than your knowledge, because with the right habit and the right perception of the life, you can do anything. And your point about I was lucky and maybe others were not so lucky. I was not lucky because I was just sitting there and some God was pouring the luck over the world and I was just happened to be there. No, luck comes to the people who are preparing for it.
Exactly.
If you are not prepared, you will never be lucky. So you have to see, okay, what do I need to be, not to know, to be.
Yeah.
These are about the attitudes and the virtues, and I will, let me talk about it. What are the human values that I really live all of my life? What am I humble? What do I brag about? What I've achieved? Blah, 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 bragging people are not very much liked. That's not a good attitude.
Yeah.
But people who are humble and who are listening to the others, who are reflecting on what they hear, they are much more accepted in something. And maybe people think, okay, he might not be the best programmer in my thing, but it's hard to get a good programmer anyhow, but they have the right attitude. I trust them that they are honest to me, and that they can develop themselves. We have the old saying from HR managers, you hire people for their skills, but you fire them for their attitudes.
Exactly.
So now I think there's a shift in that. HR knows that, and also project managers who look for people should also look at that. It's better to have somebody who has, let's say, an agile mindset. If you have an agile project, then look for if he has an agile mindset. Don't look if he has done Scrum for 5 years or whatever.
No, that's a different story. Yeah.
So, and the third strategy, I think, very practically, is get visible. Get out there, because if you don't act as a part of the human community, and there are many communities. You could be a member of PMI, could be a member of the PgMP group. Only 3,000 PgMPs a world. Why isn't that more building up something? These are bright people who really went through a difficult exam, and he invested such a lot, and are proud of themselves without being bragging about it. When I look at all these PgMPs on LinkedIn, they don't normally say, "Oh, I'm the PgMP and I'm the best one." No, they know what they are for themselves, and then they just deliver value to their clients, and that's something. Get visible in these groups, build your networks, present something, watch webinars, watch others what they're doing, and write an article on LinkedIn. It's not a big thing. You can write an article within a day. It just has to be 2 pages. If you make 20 pages out of it, nobody will read it anyhow. So and maybe at some point of time write a book. So this is something, as you get more visible to others, you build your networks, you get into different networks. I'm very proud to have a board colleague, Antonio Nito Rodriguez. He was a board chair, I think, in 2016, and he founded, when COVID came up, he founded a Zoom conference every second week, and we met Thursdays and for an hour, and we had different presentations. But not only that, we also had 8 different initiatives going on to build something with the skill and the capabilities that are in there. And there are people from all over the globe, and before Christmas, for 2 sessions, we did one thing. We had a small company in Pakistan, Karachi, and the whole wisdom of the group went on to help this small company to improve their business in the moment, because they also are suffering from the environment. So I think this was very important, and it was also encouraging. Not only the wisdom on the fly came into that, but this group prepared upfront. How could we bring our knowledge to this person? So they developed the business canvas and some processes how to go on, and then this core group prepared this interaction with the whole group.
Yep.
And the whole group is about 100 people only, but can be invited. And in these sessions, there are normally 40-50 people. So it's a good thing. We break out in breakout sessions, and we work a little bit. And it's a very good situation. We get different topics like how to change education for kids, because now we are going digital and we're going more agile, and it's much more globalized. How can we change this kind of for kids? And then these people work on that. So if you are in such a group, you don't think negatively. You don't think problem. You think opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you have to do that. So maybe to go back to that, become more resilient, because I think this is the core thing, And there is a nice comparison in HBR looking at resilience of organizations, of people, and they take the example of our skin. You know, our skin is resilient, can endure hot and cold and pressure, and if you cut it, it goes good again. So it's very resilient. It gets working again after some time. You know.
Yeah.
And they looked at that and they found out there are two things, characteristics of the skin. The first is how is it structured, and the second thing is how does it react dynamically on some disturbance, you know. And maybe you think about your own resilience in that. How is it structured? So the skin is structured. It is has, well, let me put it this way: it has multiple skills, multiple ways of doing things, you know. So it's diverse, it's heterogeneous. If you only rely on one way of doing a thing, you know, it might not be enough to do something. So be heterogeneous, be multicultural, you know. Look at different industries, different countries, different belief systems, religions, everything. So if you do that, you become more resilient because you are more heterogeneous. Second structure thing is be redundant. So if one component of you fails, the other can step up. So be redundant means that you don't only rely on one network, on one job, on one kind of interest. You know, be interested in different things. And if one fails, how many income streams do you have? You know, only one. Then you're not redundant on income. So try to get different income streams. And the last structural thing is be modular. You know, and this is coming from systems thinking. So try to make sure that what you learn, what you add to your capabilities, is really something enclosed, which has an interface with others. But really, this is a new kind of skill. This is what you could say something in this T-shaped skill. You know, you have the overall T. This is broad knowledge about something, and then being modular means you add one vertical structure at a time. And you know, if the T is there in a stance and the wind blows, it falls down. But if you have two vertical things, it's like a P, you know, it's better. But if you have 20 of these, you are undisturbable, you know.
Exactly.
So this is the three structural things to become more modular. How that relates to your knowledge, to your work, to your capabilities, you have to find out. You know? The second area is structure, but was the first one. The second is dynamic. How do you react? And well, no wonder. One way is also three ways to react. One way is to be agile. Yeah? But agile in a sense that you look out all the time. You know, you see what's happening there and something interesting, you jump on it. Maybe you observe it and you react to it. So agile means don't stick too long, focus too long on one thing all the day, but every day do something outside. Go in the park and meet people. Not now, maybe, or maybe through a megaphone, whatever, or phone people or whatever. You know, try to be agile and sense the outer world. Second is be prudent, be mindful, be conscious. You know, don't try to only act on your emotions. We all act on our emotions anyhow, but you know, the more you can control that, in emotional intelligence, it's called self-control. So be more prudent. And the third thing is really be embedded. You know, consider yourself as a bee in a beehive. You're not the individual for your own livings, isolated from others, though many of us are now isolated. But thankfully, internet and Zoom and whatever is still working. So we can go outside, and we must go outside. And this comes back to what I said before with the strategies: get visible, get a network, and go out and become part of many communities. And if you struggle with that, you know, with all of that, what can really help you, and this is my last advice on that thing, is get a mentor, you know, because mentoring is really important. A mentor who is helping you to develop your own thoughts and to understand your own blind spots and to work on them.
Exactly. Yeah, good. Thanks, Thomas. So on top of that, the job opportunities, how to create job opportunities. It's their limitation. A lot of companies actually firing people, not hiring, not. But you will find some people are actually still able to find job and even better job. So I will, Thomas, I was talking about my friend, and she got came to US, and then before she jumped out of plane, she had an offer in her hand, and 6 months worked, and then she got three offers in her hand. It's not coincidence that things happen for her, but it's how she utilized her skills and her network and her capabilities to get into the better job. So she's earning more than what she was in the previous companies back in Australia, and she's at better position. We can always talk about the market is bad, COVID is this and that. Yes, it's all there, real, it's real. But while we are in this environment, we can't change the environment first of all. What we
Right.
can change our attitude in this environment. If we can still stay positive, we can still find light. We can see the light beyond the tunnel. Even if we can't see, we have to imagine there's a light and still move toward that direction. If we don't, otherwise we keep it going in circle. We stay in the same place and we keep talking about system and this problem, that problem. That will bring negativity in you, and that's not a good way of progressing further.
Yeah. In Germany now through this crisis, most restaurants are now closed since beginning of November, and they have been closed before, so they are really suffering. And but nevertheless, these are mostly restaurants owned by owners, small enterprises. So not the big change. McDonald's is still working. No trouble with that if you have. But these small owners, they are the most creative, going with food outside and offering some video programs to cook and all this stuff. They are so creative, and without that, they would not have survived so long. And still, they are suffering. So just this week, I bought from a restaurant I went to before the crisis, before the lockdown. And I bought some home food, and they were cooking a nice lobster bisque, and this was the best lobster bisque you can get out of a can, actually. So it's nice, and but they not only do something that they knew before, like cooking and serving, but they are also have a bigger presence on social media, and making marketing like that, it works for them.
Yeah, and the third point we have is the certification. While disruptive market, and we have to have strategies, we need to have networking, and there are certain certificates which can help you not only now but also going forward. And
sure.
Yes, when the organization has to release 500 people or 1,000 people, you may see that you may feel that they don't worried about your certificate experience. They do actually look into that. Who are the most important people we should keep still, while we have to let go most of the people? And you have to find, you have to be in the first of all, as we mentioned earlier, attitude, and ready to learn something new, and get into some certificates. If you are a PMP, think about doing PgMP, PfMP, or maybe if you are working in Agile, there are a number of Agile certificates which can help you. Scrum Master, Scaled Agile Framework. There are PMI introduced recently, the Discipline Agile. So there are various certificates that can keep yourself into the job, and also to find, if you go out of job, you can find job even better job in a shorter time. So keep looking. Yes, not only sometimes say, okay, Dharam, I'm not in project management. That's fine. So why don't you look in your technology area?
Sure.
IoT, Internet of Things, blockchain, or AWS. What do you call it? There are many other certificates, Salesforce. and Microsoft, SAP. There are many certificates which you can find useful in your current industry, in your current job. So look for them.
Sure. Well, I think if you build your competence, the first thing you're doing, getting out of school, university, you get a university degree, but it takes you maybe 3 or 4 years to do that. Yeah, if you have a doctor, then even more, and that's a heavy weighting. I studied mathematics, so I have a diploma in mathematics, and guess what? I never ever used it in my job. But what this diploma did, it changed my mindset. Analytical thinking, being calm, being able to indulge myself in a task and work until I have a solution. So this kind of thinking is taught during mathematics studies, and so it did prepare me for life, but it did not prepare me for my job in doing this and that. And after that, yeah, so I was lucky to be at IBM because they offered a good training program. But guess what? I was really happy to have a certificate as a PMP because this was really personal. It was something, which built on the university degree somehow. It's something you can show as a certificate. So I don't say, it is with all certificates, because there are also certificates you have to sit 2 days in a class and then take a 2-hour exam, and then woof, you get it, and you have a 95% pass rate. This is not the case with PMP, but we have more than 1 million people globally who sat for the PMP and took that effort, and the pass rate is not 95%. And everybody I know who got out of PMP said, this was one of the hardest exams I experienced in my lifetime. But now I'm proud and I'm confident and I can do a job. And this, again, coming back to attitude, changes your attitude. Yeah, and makes you humble, because you also understand, reading the PIM book of 750 pages right now, you understand you don't have a clue what project management is with having a PMP. You still have to learn so much. So when I got a PMP, I told you the first thing, in 98 I got the PMP, and in 99 I was at the PMO at the insurance company, and the first thing I said, we establish earned value. I had never heard of earned value before, but I said, now let's try it in practice, and it worked.
Yeah. Good. So, Thomas, you did mention that people coming out from PMP exam, they find it difficult. Yes, these exams are difficult, PgMP, PMP, PfMP, no doubt about this. And I tell my student, look, the difficulty of exam depends upon how ready you were. And of course, these exams are not easy. If you go to exam with some reading and doing some mock exam from internet or something, you may find it difficult. But when you have done the right preparation, right attitude, and you build yourself to be even tougher than the real exam, you'll find the real exam much easier. So in my class, I talk about some people, I'm talking PgMP, PfMP. Dr. Ginger Levine, the late legend, she was pioneer in project program portfolio management. She had written a lot of books, and some of her books, PgMP and PfMP question banks and other things, they're one of the toughest exams you have. Some people try and they give up. After some time they give up and they throw the book away. And Dharam, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to do this book again. And you will find a lot of bad comments on Amazon or other places. But I tell my student, once you're feeling ready, you do that exam. You might score 40%, 35%. I don't care. But what happened after that will matter. You need to go back, you look at all the explanation, and you read the textbook again with the line by line, word by word, and then you do another exam from her book. Then you find from 40%, you are now 65%. And if you're getting 65%, 70% in her exam, you will find the exam is easy. Many of my students, they are doing the exam, PgMP exam, the toughest exam, the 4-hour exam in 3 hours. One lady from New Zealand, she completed the exam in 2 hours and 31 minutes, 89 minutes to go, and she passed with above target. Is it a magic or a coincidence? No. She was more ready for this exam. She said, Dharam, I was able to eliminate the 2 options almost immediately. The 3rd option, after a couple of seconds here and there, I was able to see. So she was under 1 minute per question, and she got a very good result. So, it's tough. Sorry, I got excited because when you say tough, I don't see the tough. The toughness is because difficulty is because you are not prepared enough. So anyway,
but Dharam, fully agree with you, and I think you're right in saying it's tough because you're not prepared enough. But most people are not prepared enough. Exactly. Many people don't take your classes or other prep programs which are good. So when I was at IBM, in '98, I didn't have the chance to have any prep class around. So for me, it was really, really tough.
Exactly.
But after that, I went into the business at IBM at the chapter to teach others, to go for the exam. And I know what IBMers did, how they achieved the PMP. And the point is, IBMers on average, which attended the prep classes by IBM, which was a 4 days boot camp, and they had to learn. Yeah. But they had a pass rate of more than 90% in the PMP. And I know from these times, then PMI was not so close-lips about the pass rates, but at this time, in average, 70% pass rate was there. So IBMers achieved 20% better results than the average person who probably didn't have this kind of preparation at this time, And now it's there. You can go there. And the other thing is, I wanted to say, for some certificates like the PMP, like the PgMP, like what you are doing here, what you are helping to prepare, is you don't learn until you feel it. It has to become a part of your unconscious understanding, and that doesn't go without pain. That doesn't go without punishment. Without pushing. So this prep classes, this boot camps, and what a boot camp is. Not only for the preparation, but you go out in the wilderness and sleep in the tent and whatever, and get surprised, and you feel it, and that's the purpose of the prep programs.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Thomas. I think we have talked enough today, and so to conclude this topic, yes, we know we are in this difficult time, COVID and post-COVID. We need to be more ready, more resilient, and our mindset has to change, attitudes has to change, and look around, and the new way of finding opportunities, job opportunities, or maybe starting your own company, or something which, right, as you mentioned, writing books, writing blogs, be visible for other people, the potential hiring people. Because trust me, these agents, the recruitment agents, they do a lot of research before they select you to move to next stage. So if you have been doing lots of blogging or sharing information about project program portfolio, you become more employable than just doing your job. Yeah. So go out, do something extraordinary, and do some certification, and be ready for the new normal, which is we are in already. So thank you, Thomas. It was really awesome discussion, and I know we do talk a lot. We keep going. It's very difficult to stop us, but I'm sure people, if they are watching, they will keep learning from us, and they will keep coming to watch our podcast. And we are here. Even if you are not doing any certificates, you just want some guidance or support. Thomas is available. I'm available. We can talk. Any topic. Go to my website. You can book some time with me. You send me a message. Happy to help you out, especially in this tough time we are going through. So, Thomas, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Dharam, to put up that initiative again, and to all you out of there, just be courageous, be yourself, and get a mentor. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good. Okay. Now I have to stop the recording. Where the recording gone? Anyway, so the team will cut here, and we will. So I don't think we have enough time for next discussion. Let's take this next question for the next week. And yeah, so I do have some other appointments, so I will go. But anyway, thanks, Thomas. It was a pleasure talking again, once again. So next week we'll talk about our next topic.
Okay. Which date? Which time slot?
Yeah, I think let's stick to Friday at the moment. My Friday is available at this stage.
Okay.
So yeah, let's continue with that. And yeah, so allow enough time to do preparation and work on that. So I will change the the current schedule we have, but to keep the Fridays.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much,
Bye-bye.
Thomas.
Take care.
A pleasure talking with you once again.
Bye-bye.